Varda. Joining me now from our culture desk is Olivia Salazar-Winspear. Olivia, for those of us who are not familiar with her work, can you explain to us why she is such a respected artist here in France?
Well, as you mentioned, Annette, she is primarily known for being one of the members of the New Wave, that cinematic movement in the late 50s, early 60s, thanks to pieces of work like Le Bonheur and La Pointe Courte, which is actually a precursor to the New Wave in many ways, and the great classic Cleo from 5 to 7, which is about a young woman roaming the streets of Paris, that location shooting that you mentioned. It's a triumph of cinema verite. You really see Paris for what it is, the beautiful close-up shots of that young woman Cleo's face. Now, her work is always personal, always compassionate, and that's visible as much in the early work as in more recent projects. I recently rewatched actually one of her first short films. It's called The Opéra Mouffe from 1958, or Diary of a Pregnant Woman, and that's where you see Varda's perspective. It's so sensitive. She's just often filming sociologically ordinary people in the streets of Paris. It's quite compelling. And she is also known here in France as Jacques Demy's former wife. Jacques Demy, who's the filmmaker responsible for the Demoiselles de Rochefort and the Umbrellas of Cherbourg. But they were in many ways collaborators. She made a very touching film about Demy's life called Jacques de Nantes in 1991, dramatising parts of his childhood. But I think it was really towards the end of her life, actually, in her later years, that she became very, very famous, came to greater worldwide attention, especially with the 2017 film that she made with contemporary artist JR called Faces, Places. This is a charming road movie which brings together two unlikely kindred spirits on a sort of artistic road trip. They get to meet people all over France. They make a sort of documentary out of these meetings. It actually got an Academy Award nomination at the 2017 Oscars, making her the oldest person to ever be nominated for Academy Award. And in the same year, she was actually honoured with an honorary Oscar for herself. She also had an honorary Palme d'Or in Cannes in 2015. So it was towards the end of her career that she was being recognised here in France. There was a season in her honour at the Cinémathèque Française here in Paris, where they revisited her whole body of work in January of this year.
She is indeed a true icon, and she actually has just completed, I understand, a film for release, even at the age of 90.
Absolutely, and this premiered last week. It's called Varda by Agnès, and it's in keeping with the more documentary approach that she was doing in her later career. In the film, she revisits some memorable moments from her filmmaking career, including the shooting of the 1985 film Vagabond, which is considered to be perhaps her masterpiece. She won the Golden Lion at Venice for that film, and it launched the career of French actress Sandrine Bonnaire. You can see in this next clip how exacting she is about how she wants her scenes to be shot. So let's take a look at this film, Varda by Agnès.
J'avais choisi de faire des travelling. Il y en a 13 dans le film. Chaque travelling roule de droite à gauche, ce qui est un peu contrariant, car ce n'est pas le sens de la lecture, en tout cas en Occident. Chaque travelling dure 1 minute, plus ou moins. Et nous accompagnons Mona, sac au dos. Nous sommes dans des paysages de campagne agricole, pas particulièrement plaisantes, mais à la fin de chaque travelling, nous quittons Mona pour filmer un élément ou un objet local. Au cours du film, le travelling suivant, plus ou moins 10 minutes plus tard, commence toujours avec un objet ou un élément équivalent à ce que nous avons vu.
So, full disclosure, Annette, I tried to get into the premiere of that film last week here in Paris, but it had been sold out within minutes. It had sold out weeks before. There was a long waiting list for it. I've heard from colleagues that it's excellent, that it really sums up her spirit, because you might have seen there that she had this real dynamic, youthful energy. She was working right up until the end, and I often spotted her. You can see her unmistakable haircut at art openings, at screenings. She really engaged with arts, with life, with people.
An extraordinary figure, that's for certain. Thank you for that, Olivia Salazar-Winspear.